What's up, Bombshells? Welcome to Bombshell 1111 Podcast, Therapy for Women of Color. My name is Kia, and I'm your host. Generally, podcasts request donations, but I want you to show love by simply subscribing to my social media platforms by visiting my website at www.bombshell1111podcast.com. I want to see thousands of subscribers on this platform. Leave your comments and I'll show love by shouting you out on my social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. I want to thank you for your continued support as always. And with that being said, let's jump into this new episode.
Hi, my name is Carrie Cooper, and I am here today to drop some bombs on Bombshell 1111.
Welcome back, you guys. I'm Kia, and I'm your host. And tonight, you guys, will be discussing holistic therapy with our special guest, Carrie. So without further ado, you guys, let's get into it, Bombshells. Welcome, Carrie. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast and sharing your knowledge and tools on holistic therapy. This is something that a lot of my audience is definitely interested in. This is of an interest, as well as a lot of guests that I have that come on. This is something that they also practice. So it's refreshing again to have you on. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to give some knowledge out tonight.
Thank you, Carrie. So come on, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Mm-hmm. So down below, I will have your bio about who you are, what you do, where you're from, but I want to make it more formal and allow you to give a short description about who you are, what you do, and where you're from, Carrie. So go ahead, jump right in.
Sure. So Carrie Cooper, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I have a private practice in Northern New Jersey where I specialize with really high school and college kids. And for 20 years, all I've been working with is really, adolescents. I'm also an author of the book Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know. And I'm also an author of Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Teen Needs to Know, which is a workbook. And in those books, it talks about the holistic approach to mental health. And it talks about the 10 foundations to really implement in your life in order to have the strongest mental health that you possibly can.
And so, Carrie, for the listening audience, for those who don't know, a lot of people know about therapy, and some people don't know that there are different forms and different types of therapy. What is the difference between holistic and just regular psychotherapy?
Great question. So in the beginning of my, therapy career, I was a regular therapist, and it was, okay, what are your symptoms? And here's your diagnosis. And here's what we're going to do to treat it in terms of behavior modification or, cognitive behavioral therapy. I look at all the symptoms, but I say, wait a second, let's take a step back. How are your symptoms being influenced by how you're sleeping, how you're eating? Are you exercising? Are you meditating? Are you having correct boundaries in your life? Let's look at the bigger picture of how your lifestyle is impacting your mental health.
And so, Carrie, what is involved in a typical holistic psychotherapy session?
For me, it's about, okay, what symptoms are you experiencing right now? And talk to me now further about what your day-to-day activity looks like. Because lots of times when we're having these symptoms of anxiety or depression, we are engaging in our daily life in order to increase those symptoms. So if we're depressed, if we're anxious, many of those people are not eating well. And what is that doing? It's creating the snowball effect. When we're not eating well, now we don't have energy. Now we're really not feeling well. Now it's even harder to get out of bed with our depression. There's this whole snowball that's happening. And at some point we have to stop it and say, hold on. We have to change the way we're behaving on a daily basis, not just in regards to our anxiety and depression, but in regards to our lifestyle and our lifestyle choices.
And when it comes to holistic care needs, Carrie, what would you say are like three important holistic care needs that you would think of in your expertise in your...
My number one is sleep. And I think we have a massive sleep issue in this country to begin with. And people are not realizing that if you are not sleeping, you are not going to be able to function properly the next day. You are not going to be able to handle stress. You are not going to be able to feel motivated and productive. And I think that is one of the biggest areas that we need to be addressing, not just in mental health, but in physical health as well. And really getting to not just handing out sleeping pills, but saying, okay, you need to set up a good sleep time routine. You need to be getting, adults need at least 7 hours a night of sleep. And I know even from my friends, how many people are not sleeping at night.
And when it comes again to holistic therapy and holistic approach, I know you work with teens. So what approach do you take when you're working with the teen population?
So with the teens, I really want them to know that they have this power within them to make these good choices. And a lot of the times it's not just the teens that I have to work with, it's the parents as well, because they're the ones bringing the food into the house. They're the ones, who can give some regulation about get your phone out of the bedroom. So it's really an entire family approach as well. But kids, in the workbook that I wrote, it's really teaching them how to go through some steps on their own. How much water should you be drinking on a daily basis and making sure you're tracking that. We're seeing a lot of studies now popping up about dehydration and how that negatively impacts your mood. So something as simple as being hydrated on a daily basis will help your mental health.
And so, Carrie, you mentioned your workbook. Let's take some time here to talk about that. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how you came up with that idea, and how that in your work?
Sure. So really, the first book, Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know, came out of COVID. During COVID, there was such a mental health crisis with our teens, especially. I mean, everybody was feeling the impact of COVID. Every therapist I knew, including myself, we were fully booked. We couldn't take on more clients. And I had parents calling me constantly, begging to get their kids in. They just wanted to help their kids. And, I sat there for a second and I thought, I'm saying a lot of the same things over and over again in therapy. It's a lot of the same themes. Are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you getting out of your bedroom? Are you moving your body? Are you setting up good boundaries? And I said, I just need to get the tools in the parents' hands ASAP. So I wrote, a really easy to read guidebook on how parents can help their kids set up those 10 foundations. And then from that book, I heard a lot of parents saying, I'm talking to my kids about this, but I really feel like they need to be reading the book as well. So that's when I made up a workbook just for the teens to really be able to go through and to work on.
Okay. And so your workbook, is it available online or how?
It is. Both of my books are available on Amazon.
On Amazon. And then just for other individuals who may want to seek out different services with you, do you provide services in person, online? Tell us about that.
Sure. So I'm both. I am, currently in my office in Northern New Jersey, and, for people local, they do come to see me, and other people are seeing me via telehealth. And
so the 10 foundations every teen needs to know. Can you just briefly talk about some of those foundations, Carrie?
Yeah, so I really broke it down into 5 physical foundations and 5 more mental health foundations. So the 5 physical foundations, and they're so important. We talk about teens because that's the population I work with, but really everybody needs to be doing this. So the 5 physical foundations are, you need to be hydrated. Water is key. Sleep, which we already discussed a little bit. You need to eat well. You need to exercise, and you need to meditate. Those are the big 5 in terms of the physical. The 5 for the mental health, it's about being able to say no, like being able to have those boundaries, being able to accept disappointment and move on from that. And also to be able to understand that we are responsible for our own feelings, our own behavior, our own action, and we cannot control other people's feelings and behaviors and actions. Those are the themes that always come up in therapy for me. So those are the themes that I really wrote down. And I think about it like building a house. You have to have that strong foundation. That way your house could weather a storm. And it's the same with your mental health. You got to build that strong foundation. And I want everybody to really hear the message that it's within their control. They're able to really help themselves feel better.
I like that. I like that. And I love those 10 foundations. A lot of things that you said, I think that they are very key. And I didn't realize how much sleep is a key factor just in your day-to-day wellness and well-being, Carrie, until later in life. When I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia and realizing that I had to really have that routine of nightly routine of going to bed at the same time or almost at the same time and making sure I get a full 8-hour night of rest, because if not, I will wake up and just feel horrible the next day, like you just said. So like so many things that you just said in those 10 foundations are very, very much on point for just me in my day-to-day life, like you said, for adults as well. So I totally agree. And thank you for that. Thank you for that.
It's funny because sometimes, parents will read this book and say, I knew it. I knew all of this on some level, but like you forget it in our crazy, hectic, busy days. You forget to come back to the basics.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for that reminder. And so, Carrie, how can a listening audience get connected to you for services or just for more information?
Sure. So my website is filled with more information. It's Keri, Keri Cooper, holistictherapy.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Keri Cooper Holistic Therapy.
And when you say your website is filled with information, what do you have listed there on your website just for the audience so they can have an eye out for it?
So many things that I've written and blogs, wealth of information there about many different topics. So it's always a good resource.
Thank you for that. And so, Carrie, is there anything you feel that I missed that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
I really just want the listening audience to understand that the mental health is so connected to the physical health. We can't just separate the two. It's all connected. Just like our mental health is connected to our physical health. And we all know it because we all know, when we get anxious, sometimes our stomach hurts. Like we get the connection, but we have to remember it in terms of treating ourselves and making ourselves feel better.
Thank you so much for that, Carrie. And so you guys, I want to thank Carrie for coming on and sharing her knowledge. And thank you, Carrie.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. And so you guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to Carrie for joining us. We hope that you were able to hear something that was beneficial to you. And with that being said, thanks for listening. And always remember, you are a bomb within your own shell. Peace, love, and light, you guys. Until next time, good night. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some valuable information that can help you on your personal journey. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bombshell 1111 or at Bombshell 1111 TV. You can also check out our mental health page, Your Health is Your Wealth, on Facebook, which is a page created to inform and support individuals with mental health and other health conditions. And with that being said, always remember, you guys, you are a bomb within your own shell. And until next time, peace, love, and light.